You already know I'm going in straight out the gate. Got lost for a minute, but I found my way. Now I'm back on my path again, and I'm about to get it cracking like a tree that's about to break. I came out of nowhere, pretty much out thin air. Wasn't anywhere to be found, look, now he's there. I'm about to take everything, better get the shit up, bitch. I'm sticking you up like alfalfa's hair. Southbound, giving out a sound that's rare. When I pick up the mic, it's going down like stairs. I'm making so many moves, been stepping so much. When I'm done, they gon' have to get the ground repaired. They gather round and stare when they hear me spit, cause my shit's so bitchin', call me Karen. Dudes wanna beef, but I ain't got time, cause I'm working around the clock like a watch repairman. Putting in work like Lizzo Chef. When I die, they gon' say that he did it to death. I'm doing infinite reps, but I ain't dripping in sweat, because I got more drive than a limo stretch. I'm about to bust, about to make a big old mess. I'm gonna give you the most, you'll never get no less. It's my turn now, I'm about to apply pressure. I'm like Derek Chauvin, how I get on next.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Right. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Everybody, I want to ask everyone before I continue, did that sound terrible? Because I know like the weather here is really cold, but can you guys let me know if you can hear me 5 by 5? Hello, everybody. Hello, P. Thomas, Desert Ray, Nemesis and Hades, Tony C, Meatball, Soil Lodge. Hello, hello. Somebody let me know. Can you guys hear me? Because that sounded crazy on my end. And it says I'm connected. Hear you fine? Sound is good? Okay, can you tell me if that intro sounded really insane or did it sound normal? Because it sounded crazy to me. Okay. Hello, Brandon Spain. Hello, Jeremy Barnes. Hello, Martin Carson. Sound is good. Sounds okay. 5 by 5. Okay, thank you. I went back a little bit goth. Not totally, though. Half black. Hello, Seashore Mary. All right, cool. So, hello, Don Lambert. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay, so today I started early. Sorry. I was bored and I would really like to just get through this because I've got a lot to get through and I'm not going to get through all of it today. But I've made some new discoveries, so I'm going to cover that. Things that go directly from Charles Manson before he got out of jail all the way to the Son of Sam. But this is really, Scientology and me laying out the argument for moving forward that I am not going to sit here and differentiate between Scientology, the process, and best friends. It's a waste of time for me. And I feel that I've laid out more than enough information that I don't need to do it. I'm not telling anybody else what to think. This is just how I feel about it, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and run the intro, and then we will just get into it.
What is the process?
Oh, must we drag all that up again? Listen to my voice, I'm ready, telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice, I'm ready, telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice, I'm ready, telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice, I'm ready, telling you the devil's work.
Is it old to the death? Better hold your breath in the cell. I'll prevail. Ready, sent from hell. Ring the bell when you're finished. I'm a grown man and winning. Sacrifice it to the demons. Know I love it when you screaming. Commit to your thought. Do it now while you lost in the darkness. You will never wake up so conscious, anxious. Why are you so scared of feeling pain, bitch? Devil in your soul, cutting now and then you'll go. Walk on the dark path, kill and you feel that. Never in your life you gotta rush from the kickback. Matte black, black, 10 knock on the neck, man. Hear the whispering, devil taking over them. Listen to my words of Freddy telling you the devil's work. Listen to my words of Freddy telling you the devil's work. All red on me, got the blood up in your hair. Sign your soul to the devil, now you asking is it fair? Listen to my words of Freddy telling you the devil's work. Listen to my words of Freddy telling you the devil's work. All red on me, got the blood up in your hair. Sign your soul to the devil, now you asking is it fair?
Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already telling you the devil's work. Listen to my voice already.
Don't forget, we're out here fighting Demon Jaw. I literally could not hear any of that, so I hope that it was okay for you guys. Hey, Echo Cat, so nice to see you. And who else did I miss? Bad Hat Harriet. Let's fucking go. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, Scientology process, BFAS OTO. What's up, someone? All right, so let's go ahead and let's dig in because, it's like people know about Scientology and their celebrities, right? And I'm not here to really give like a huge dissection of all of that. Okay. I think that that would be kind of a snooze fest and it's not really my bag. What I want to show you guys though is looking at some of Ed's files and kind of walking through something that we've discussed before, which is the idea that the Manson crimes are the beginning of the satanic panic, and also that there is a massive continuation through all of these things. And hello, Gina G. So nice to see you. Thank you. Now, I had found something because if you're familiar with the history of Scientology, obviously they were being investigated in numerous places around the world at various times for different things. But I saw specifically in California, there was an investigation going on, and I think that the timing is very interesting. Then we're going to look at some of the internal documents from the FBI raid in regards to Lanier Raymer. We're going to look at some of the stuff that was going on in Rome, and we're going to be going back through that Council of Masters meeting because all the people that they said that they weren't hanging out with, they were hanging out with. And I just think that it's completely preposterous. But let's go ahead and let's start at the beginning. You tell me your thoughts. And I'm not saying that this is the case, it's my opinion. I think the timing of this is very interesting because Scientology cares very much about PR, right? So, right here. There we go. Religion or business. The practices of Scientology being investigated again. The LA Times, Sunday, August 3rd, 1969. And there they are, holding the cans. Super serial. We're super serial, right? But again, I think that the timing of this is interesting. And no, this isn't the first time that they're being investigated, but this is some very unwanted press in California in particular. They're talking about stuff going on in Australia. I think we've talked about that briefly previously. And I do think that it's interesting that they note, interest in the occult. Those attracted to Scientology often have an interest in the occult, the powers of your mind, religions, says Dr. Walter, a Hollywood psychologist. What Scientology is basically saying is, if you could clear your mind of problems, you would be happy. Scientology provides exercises to condition your mind to eavesdrop on the past. That part is not really bad. Anytime you can teach a person to be less inhibited, it helps. The danger, he said, comes when a mentally disturbed person believes the 100% guaranteed results claimed by Scientology and finds he cannot achieve what he thinks he should. Again, not really going into their practices. I just think that it's interesting. So, right here, this is something else that I found very fascinating. I did not know that McMaster was the one that was running this little DIE-analogy, this little suppressive, and I'm not getting into it today, but again, note the timing, this ethics order, February 27th, 1969, talking about the suppressive group DIE-analogy. It's sponsored by the Reform Church of Scientology, run in LA by Jack Horner, a declared suppressive. Okay, whatever you say. Over here, this is October 10th, 1970, so 1 year later, right? But this is McMaster accusing Hubbard of fostering spiritual tyranny. But right here, he's still convinced of the value of Scientology's teachings and analytic techniques, and he recently gave some lectures in Phoenix and the LA area on behalf of a DIE-anetics organization in Westwood run by Jack Horner, another ex-Scientologist. Okay, so we've got all of that, right? We have what some of the Scientologists call the squirrel groups, right? These little groups of suppressives, because don't forget, the De Grimstons were declared, right? But one could argue that they never really had fair game that was run on them. Yeah. And it's interesting to consider that the only people that really had fair game run on them, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is Ed Sanders and possibly Maury Terry, right? Because I don't see anybody else that has really investigated this deeply that has had a problem. And again, I don't do hero worship and people don't have to agree with me, but let's look at some of the propaganda that was going on. That way you can pick up what I'm putting down as far as the satanic panic angle, right? So this is the magazine Argosy. Charles Manson, alleged mastermind behind the Tate murders. Could this man control you? Okay. And over here, A Nightmare of Terror documented the horrifying Beverly Hills mass murders that shocked the world. Unbelievable, but terribly true. And you are there as it happens. The Other Side of Madness. Hear the song Mechanical Man, written and sung by Charles Manson. Okay, well, putting this out here. Now, this one. This is what sent me on a little bit of a, well, not just this one, but a bit of a rabbit hole. So, this is Manson, Raymer, and I'm assuming this one right here is Lahick. I have no idea, right? But this is Manson, Bruce Davis, June 22nd, 1970. Okay, so right here, talking about Steve Grogan. Let's see if I can zoom in without screwing this up. This is, I think the name is Marvin White. That's what I was trying to figure out right here, because this copy is complete crap. Says that Manson was screaming to get away from his auditor. That's fine. I'm trying to identify these people, but let's go over here. Now, I got to come back to this. This individual, Raul, who was friends with Manson, had this store. I can't tell if that's Rubicon or Pubicon. I have no idea. I'm going to try to figure it out, though, because it's an interesting name, especially if it's Rubicon. But here's his notes on Leslie Van Houten. So he has people on the inside, right? The person who's filling out this report, they've got people on the inside. Now, I have not been able to successfully identify these people. We obviously know who Leslie Van Houten is. That's good and well. But we've got someone named Marshall Peterson, who's her brother. So I'm assuming that this informant, her last name may be Peterson or Pedersen. And then her boyfriend, Bob Mackey. The name sounds familiar to me, but I don't know why. And right here, it says the first link being a report that's unconfirmed that Shapiro, whoever that is, had been at Alan Watts' houseboat and that members of the family were also there. So they're talking about drug trafficking here. We know that drug trafficking was involved as far as Wojciech Frykowski and Jay Sebring, right? And here's their little notes on Jay Sebring. They are talking about from this individual, Tony Schultz, don't know who he is, right? And then right here, he has someone else who's on the inside, Sharp and Gaul, right? So we're going to be talking about that a lot today, the Sharp and Gaul murders. And then right here, talking about Mama Cass, that she was rumored to be heavily involved in drugs and running a complete and separate organization. Oh, okay. She said that she was into Scientology for a time and then blew off our lines. Okay, well, I'm very curious about her running a completely separate organization. That I'm very curious about. Haven't found proof of it, but just something to consider, right? Now, in regards to Gaul and Sharp, and I'm going to make all of this make sense, but up here, This is from Ed Sanders' book, The Family. How one of them was a friend of Bruce Davis, and that they were staying at a Scientology commune called Thetan Manor. Doreen Gaul, James Sharp, and here is a photo of Bruce Davis from Ed's files a few weeks before he described Manson as the head Shingon. Now I'm working on this with Todd Wood as far as the Grand Shingon, because he's got a lot more on that angle there, but I'm just putting this out here as it is, guys. Okay, we're leaving it at that. However, over here, this LAPD, this second progress report, I can't find the date on it. I think it's down here at the bottom. Anyways, this name right here, Terry Milner. So, Scientology intelligence supervisor. This guy is a part of the Guardian's office. I don't really think that I'm blowing anybody's minds. However, the fact that someone from the GO, the Guardian's office, is already working with so closely the LAPD in the 60s, is anybody surprised at the corruption in California right now, especially in LA, in regards to Scientology? If you are, you shouldn't be. And this is a good indicator of why. It says that Milner has interviewed Scientology members of the LA org office in an attempt to find persons who saw victim Sharp or Gall on the evening of 11/21/69. Milner stated his regular duty as intelligence officer is to determine if prospective members are qualified to take the courses. This entails a background investigation of the candidate. Milner tacitly admitted that the prime purpose of the investigation is to determine whether or not the prospective candidate or their family has the financial resources required to become a Scientologist. Okay, so that's good and well. Again, today, laying out my argument that I'm not differentiating between best friends, between the process, and between Scientology. Now, we know, the further that we look, that the process, especially the founding processians, that they are a bunch of elitist little shits, excuse my French. However, you don't need money to get in, right? That's not necessary to get into the door. We've already determined that. So, we're going to come back to Gaul and Sharp. It's going to be a little bit all over the place, but whatever. Anyway, so let's get back into some of the internals of these old Scientology documents, because there's a lot of stuff that I've found that, whether some people think that it's, relevant or not, I want to show some of the similarities to some of these other things and ask people why these angles haven't been investigated. Because I have identified one of the suspects, according to the Guardian's office, that was responsible for the Gaul and Sharp murders. This individual is dead, but I did find them. I haven't found anything that identifies this person anywhere else. And it's, the other person has a very common name, so that's kind of unfortunate. But let's go right here to the left. So, there we go. So, possibilities re-linear Raymer. It is interesting to note the following items in Raymer's TT. He ended up with Manson in prison in the late 50s in California and learned about Scientology in prison in 1957. They write a note how many prisons had Scientology books in 57. 2 or 3 years later, he ends up with Manson in Washington State, and Manson originates that he wants Raymer, who was now his cellmate, to teach him about Scientology. After about a month, Manson may have been fed LSD per a report we have, and then freaked out and wanted to get away from his auditor. I'm not sure on exact sequence of events. Raymer, when he got busted for a bank robbery in 60, may have stated he did it to get money for Scientology. Raymer gets into I'm assuming communication with a reporter, and ends up marrying her, 72 to 74. Raymer gets into with Manson after he gets out of jail, 1975. Raymer goes to see Fromm and Good and gets asked for guns, 1975. About 6 months later, Fromm tries to kill Ford, and Raymer is contacted by the FBI and ends up testifying at the trial. The Manson Scientology connection got brought up, I believe, in SAC. I have no idea. In SAC during this trial. Also, Raymer, of all things, refused to testify until Fromm told him to do it so he wouldn't end up in jail again. During the trial, a judge or someone suggested that Fromm would be looked at by a shrink, and she stated that not unless there was a witness and tape recording of the whole thing would she get near a shrink. This indicates that she has had bad times with shrinks, possibly. Why would they care about that? Unless she's a Scientologist or a Processian, right? In November 1975, the LA Times, Raymer, Fromm, Manson, Scientology, and assassination attempt are all mentioned in the same article. God forbid. There is no record of any shrink treatment of Raymer in our files, which may or may not be of interest. He did get some observation once. Raymer is currently helping us out a lot, but at the same time is in comm with Manson. Some of this is for DGPR use. PR, I'm assuming is PR. Also, Raymer is still government connected via his job. You guys are going to love this one. One or more point is that Sandra Good tried to get on lines about a month or two after Raymer got out of prison in October of 74. What the hell would they want that for? Isn't that kind of weird? I thought Manson wasn't a Scientologist, right? There is a possibility that this was an up on the church from the very start. It would actually be quite easy for the government or a shrink to set up if the person had any kind of comm lines at all. The amount of devout caused, I can't read that, the church and bad press in amazing. Well, tighten up your typing, Jim. Just a thought. Love, Jim. Okay, beautiful. So, over here, what is this? The Church of Scientology offers a $30,000 reward. LA Times, Friday, December 12th, 1969. For information leading to the prosecution and conviction of those persons responsible for the following acts: $10,000 impeding the police investigation into the murders of Doreen Gaul and James Sharp, members of the church, by causing false information to be given to the police and the public. Oh, so they were members of the church? Okay, cool. Glad you guys admitted it. Number 2, $10,000 knowingly causing to be denied to the police information which would result in successful completion of the investigation and prosecution of those guilty of this vile and murderous act. $10,000 causing to be circulated by means written and spoken certain falsehoods, thus constituting criminal libel and unlawful conspiracy to defame. These falsehoods specifically being the aims and objects of the Church of Scientology, allegations that the membership of the Church of Scientology include or has included certain notorious individuals, while knowing full well that these individuals have never been members of the Church of Scientology, such individuals being currently held by the police in connection with other charges, allegations of lack of assistance to the police by the Church of Scientology or its members, stating that the teachings and practices of the Church of Scientology are connected or could be adapted to satanic black magic practices. The Office of the Guardian, Church of Scientology, LA. Okay, whatever you guys say. So, it's all kind of weird, right? The thought that none of these things were related. Now, this guy, this is just a random thing. This website no longer exists, but if you are familiar with the ex-Scientology or people that have left, excommunicated, whatever you'd like to call it, suppressive people, a lot of this information was shared on news groups, random websites. Some of this stuff is gone. But right here, this individual, Dennis Ehrlich, Reverend Dennis L. Ehrlich, he said that he was on staff in the LA org in the late 1960s when the Guardian's office ordered us to search the entire org premises, find all records involving Manson for destruction. The order was given to find and hand over every scrap of evidence that Manson had ever been in the org so they could be destroyed. I don't really know what to tell people. The website's gone. This gate.net, can't find it. But let's move on. I've shown this before. Okay, super secret black magic den, also linked to the Zodiac Killer. Trace weird cultism behind slaughter of the Tate clan. Well, who's this guy right here? Who's that? That's Mr. Gordon Mustaine of the Church of Scientology, right? We're not going to sit here and read all of this stuff again. I've already read through this. However, this is all for a reason. Now, in regards to Mr. Raymer, I am showing you guys what I put on my Twitter. Because as far as I know, not a single person, including John Atack or Chris Shelton, who have discussed Manson's very long standing Scientology ties, not a single one of them have shown, from what I've seen, that Mr. Raymer ends up working specifically in Westchester County the same year that the Son of Sam crimes start. That's pretty fucking crazy if you ask me. Excuse my French. But right here, this is him. Now remember, they had talked about, oh, he didn't give Squeaky a gun, right? But he met with them. Okay, whatever. This is the document that we just read through. But right here, yes, he's a Scientology auditor minister. Apparently, they let him out of prison because he was a victim of hypoglycemia. Okay, so they said that that made him crazy. This guy's arrest record is nuts. We'll talk about it another time. However, he was hired to investigate prison complaints and incidents. And he was specifically working in Westchester County the same year that the Son of Sam crime started. I think that that's really nuts. Now, the other thing that's super fun about this, that ties it all together, is over here. Before he got hired, Herman Schwartz, who was the chairman of the State Commission of Corrections, he was actually overseeing, remember that Bronfman case that we were talking about with James Jimmy Boots Rothstein, the honorable mayor? Well, a couple of those guys were trying to escape. That seemed to be kind of a thing. He was overseeing that. Isn't that just kind of weird? Just kind of weird, right? Especially when we think about NXIVM and Charlene Cafferitz. Isn't that all just kind of strange? I think that it's all just kind of strange, right? It's all just a little bit weird, a little bit sus. Now, let's get to what I just said about Gaul and Sharp, right? Because, again, I did identify this, and I'm not saying that this guy did it. What I'm saying is that according to the Church of Scientology, this guy did it, but he did not do it alone. Could they be misdirecting? I have no idea. I do think that this is tied into the process 110%. And again, it's Scientology trying to distance themselves from their own people being the process, right? And I don't buy that Mr. Schwartz didn't know that Lanier Raymer was tied to Scientology or Charles Manson. So this is a Guardian's Office document from March 1972. Obviously, super crappy copy, right? Right. Okay, so let's zoom in right here. All right, so they're talking about Paulette Cooper. They're figuring that out great. But right here, verification of the whereabouts of Marie Cameron, Edward J. Militic, chief suspects in the Sharp and Gaul murders needed. Also, motive for crimes unknown. Reports indicate that Militic and Cameron were residing at Starlight Motel the night of the murders, paid personnel their money to let us examine the records. However, guest cards from that time period are missing. All right. And over here, what does it say? Handling made contact with chief bookkeeper for the motel chain, who should have identical set of cards and have paid her money to search. I have no idea what they're talking about. They're interviewing someone named Fred Howe, Denny Wallace. These are acquaintances of Gaul and Sharp, trying to find connections. Look at how crappy this copy is. And this says that John Cameron, husband of suspect Marie Cameron, is serving time in Chino prison. He may be CII's informant. Agent Taylor is to interview Militic, who is in San Quentin prison for burglary. He has agreed to keep me informed of the results of this situation. Next situation, LAPD has reactivated their investigation into the Sharp and Gaul murders, thereby bringing about the possibility of adverse publicity to the church. Handled. Liaised with DGPRO US protective actions we might take. Okay, great. Well, they were your people, right? And so were the process. So, right here, this is Mr. Militic. Okay. This is him. He was arrested in 1970. Well, when did this crime happen? Murder charges against Edward J. Militic for the 1964 death of elderly Doylestown coin dealer Ash Leatherman have been dropped. Militic 30 was released from Bucks County Prison Thursday within an hour after the order was issued by Judge William H. Roof III. A single fingerprint at the scene of the crime has led to Militic's arrest, and it was because of that single fingerprint that he was ordered released. Rule Thursday ruled that the state had not established a clear case against Militic in a March 10th preliminary hearing before the District Justice Clyde C. Lever. So, obviously, this guy has a bit of a history, right? He has a bit of a history. Up here, what's he doing up here? Getting busted for stealing some loot. Stealing a little bit of loot. This is the San Francisco Examiner, April 10th, 1970. He's snatching some stuff up. It's interesting in this arrest, specifically, this one. He is arrested with someone by the last name of Cameron. Is it her old man? Probably. Probably. The suspects both dressed well enough so they would not be conspicuous in Pacific Heights were identified as Edward J. Militic and Jonathan C. Cameron, 24. So was that her old man and him? Maybe, maybe not. No clue, right? And over here, he's getting arrested in a few other places. Because, surprise, he's from New York, right? Isn't that fascinating? And right here, this is him. This is his little family tree thingy, whatever you want to call it, on Ancestry. Edward Militic, January 4th, 1946, born in New York City, died February 8th, 2008. And over here, there we go. There is his headstone. So, that's who they claim did it, right? Do I believe them? Not necessarily. I take what they say not even with a grain of salt, I would say, right? Not even with a grain of salt. So $30,000 at that time, that's a lot of money. I know that I did the math for it before and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And does it really matter right now? No, not really. But they even mention in that last little GO memo that they really don't want the bad PR to come back on the church, right? Would it be in their best interest to offer money to get that information? Yes. What's another reason to offer money like that? To get that information, to figure out who knows what and to shut up who's necessary. I believe that Roman Polanski did the exact same thing. Peter Sellers in particular, because he really put his stamp of approval on it. I think it was Warren Beatty and Yul Brynner as well. However, I think that all of these people were doing the exact same thing. We're going to look at a couple of articles just so you guys can kind of see. Then we're going to just look at a few photos. And then I want to look through some of Ed's files because I think that one of these I haven't read through completely. But I do believe that because there were rumors, allegations, whatever the case may be, that the LaBiancas were Scientologists, that Jay Sebring was a Scientologist, that Sharon's getting involved in this weird witchcraft while she's in the UK, and then we've got all this Rome stuff to talk about. Because the process is there, the same time as the Polanskis, with a lot of really interesting celebrities doing acid, right? So I think that would be very unfavorable. And, what's 30 grand to these people? It's nothing. It's literally like a drop in the bucket for these kind of people. So, let's go. So, dead girl boy of Scientology cult, probe the Manson link. So, they're on this pretty quickly. This is December 4th, 1969, right? 2 other murders may be linked to the Mindbenders. The Mindbenders, right? Scientology unit may be death key. All right, so again, just browsing here. We're just browsing, right? Scientology death tie, links sought between Tate, Mystic Church pairs cases, murder victims, members of mystical LA church. I thought that this was kind of interesting, because this Ruth Shapiro from White Plains, the Reporter Dispatch, February 25th, 1972, she wasn't very happy. She says, I'm not a Scientologist, but I have met quite a few and have been impressed with their affirmative outlook. Never did I hear a word of anger or malice towards anyone. And this I can say with certainty. Drugs and alcohol are strictly forbidden. What better can be said than that? Get the hell out of here, Ruth. Move on. And then over here, a cult couple found slain in LA mystery. I think it's interesting that this report says specifically that there was a cryptic message scrawled on a garage door near where the bodies lay, but the police have withheld its content. However, and I have found James's uncle, this article says that he was living with at one point. The things that they did to her body is completely insane. I'm not really going to sit here and beat a dead horse with it. However, Miss Gaul, nude except for a string of Indian beads when her body was found with sharps in an alley, had been raped. Both she and the youth had been stabbed 50 to 60 times, and both their right eyes had been cut out. Of the 13 murders since the beginning of the year described by authorities as senseless or thrill murders, 4 have been young girls. So, I don't know what taking out someone's right eye means. I have no idea, right? So, here we go. $30,000 again, right? I'm not going to sit here and read all of this because we've talked about it before, but there he is. The man with the hair and the stash, right? Manson was never a member. Rumors are totally groundless. Conspiracy to impede growth. Reward authorized. Man, it's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money. So, now right here. This is reward of $25,000 set in the Tate case. Actor Peter Sellers has announced in London that he and friends of slain actress Sharon Tate will pay $25,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of persons responsible for the murders. Actors Warren Beatty and Yul Brynner were named as contributors to the reward. In Beverly Hills, Lansky's attorney, Wallace Wolf, said that any information submitted to him in writing would be turned over to the LAPD. Sure. Meanwhile, a woman who has been described as an amateur detective has offered a $200 reward for information about any hitchhiker picked up in the area of the murders on August 9th. Okay, whatever you say. And this was an interesting little letter that I found. This is from Peter Sellers to a John Ainsworth, April 6, 1976. Dear John, thank you very much for your letter. I am always pleased to hear when people have enjoyed my films. It is very kind of you to take the time and trouble to write and tell me. With regard to your questions about Miss Tate, I am sure you will understand when I say it is really not something I care to enter into any kind of discussion with. Blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But right here, basically referencing this whole angle with the $25,000, right? Posting of the reward was announced in London by Sellers. He said he and several friends would contribute to the reward. Sellers discussed such a project with friends of Miss Tate and her husband, director Roman Polanski, when he was in Los Angeles last month. Sellers was among those who attended Mrs. Tate's funeral. Sellers was dating Mia Farrow during the shooting of Rosemary's Baby and knew both Tate and her husband, the director Roman Polanski, right? And then here's a really old article that I found of this again, and there is Sharon Tate and Sellers himself. So, that's a lot of information, right? I'm going to take a break for 5 seconds and wet my whistle and look at the chat, and then we're going to continue because I have so much crap to get through. Janae got me this cup, and I absolutely love it. It says, I'm billing you for this conversation. It's very thoughtful. Oh, people are putting in something about the right eye. Hold on. Let me see. The right eye might indicate losing the soul. Do they cover the left eye or the right eye? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Illuminati approved, right? I think the right eye seems like a pathway or tax we mostly see in celebrities' black eye Illuminati pics. Okay. We're gonna talk about Mia Farrow a little bit, but it's all. This is all just like getting really stupid to me. It's very frustrating. I remember last year, or maybe it was, what is it, 2025? Damn. So no, this was the end of 2023 when I was like very early, in my channel. And when I was, beefing whatever with ATAC and Shelton. And they had made it very clear that, no one would want to be associated with like, the cult that made Charles Manson, right? And it's like, I think that we need to start laying out that argument because there's a few serial killers that are tied to Scientology. And I'm going to show you guys a really fascinating quote from Arnie Lerma, who says that Scientology is basically perfect for breeding serial killers, right? Okay. I have not said hi to half of you, but hello, and I'm glad that you're here. Oh, and thank you. Thank you. I couldn't bring myself to dye it all black. I couldn't do it. I worked way too hard to get the blonde. I worked way too hard. All right, so we're doing the Illuminati. Yeah? Okay. Well, that's dark. So they lost their soul, energy in on the left, out on the right. Oh, okay. Interesting. Odin connection. Lindsay Waters, that's interesting. See, this is why I need all my, I will tell Janae hi, does it rain? This is why I need all my spoopy versed people in here, because you guys know what's up, because all of this is just completely over my head. Completely over my head. I understand none of it, nor do I really want to. I have too much on my plate already. So, hello, Occult Examiner, and hello, something else is here. Let me see, Camp Zoro, and hello, Amira. Oh no, I'm going to keep some of the blonde. I worked way too hard to get this. Apparently someone said that I'm like going bald, which was just really stupid. I'm like, okay, you don't gotta hate so much, but like, nah. I got some of the black in, Honestly, I look like an e-girl now. Whatever. I guess I should just embrace it, right? Alright, let me check off my little list. Hold, please. Because I'm trying to get good about making a list. Okay, so we've covered a little bit of Manson. We're going to get through Gaul and Sharp. And then we're going to get into... Yeah, we'll get through Gaul and Sharp and then Ed. We'll do Ed's file, because that's a lot of reading. Oh, the ex-wife of Hillman. That's very interesting. I didn't know that he had an old lady. God bless her for dealing with that. I wouldn't be able to deal with that. That's wild. All right. We get one more sip and then let's continue on. It's only been 45 minutes. Hopefully the chat's behaving. And hello, Tricky Woo and Jay Mortis. And what was the Rat Pack, the motorcycle gang, the process hired for security? Well, they had quite a few. However, hey, Aaron Fowler, so nice to see you. There's Satan Slaves, there's the Gypsy Jokers. Who else? I'm trying to think of who else, because as an aside, right now, me and Todd are working on, because Todd posited the angle, about possibly Victor Wilde being the other Grand Chingon, and I think that that's a very strong argument because of, his power at that time, as far as, running this little subsect. I don't really know. I think that the Victor Wilde motorcycle gang angle with like 4P, 4Pi, I think that that's very interesting. But I'll be talking about that with Todd here soon. We haven't set it up yet. But as far as the motorcycle gangs, it's not like necessarily the Rat Pack, even though there's a lot of members of the Rat Pack that are tied into this and various timelines and places. If you take an honest look at Scientology exercise, no other conclusion can be drawn. Scientology equals sociopathic behavior. However, not all sociopaths are serial killers. Agreed. Very true. Very true. Straight Satans. Yes, Kelly Nora. Thank you for reminding me. Straight Satans. There's also Satan slaves. I don't know about Satan's servants. I haven't heard of them yet. I believe in common nomenclature refers to just the singers. But yeah, you're right, Jack Whiteside Parsons. And I haven't finished fleshing out the motorcycle gangs because there's a lot there. But I'm also working on that with George too, because George and Todd are like aces. All right, so let me stop getting lost in the chat because you guys already know. Y'all already know. It'll be a wrap. All right, so let's do Gaul and Sharp. We'll look at one of Ed's things, and then let's get into Rome. Let's get into the weirdness in Rome. So this is just 2 things to show photos of them, right? Because at the end of the day, it is about the victims. Okay, so this is Doreen Marie Gaul. She was 19 years old, and she was from Albany. These photos, I just found them online, and this is her find a grave right here. Very unfortunate. And this is James Andrew Sharp. He was only 15, which again, very tragic. I have been able to flesh out a couple of his family members, but I haven't completely figured it out. Like I said, I did identify the family member that he was living with at the time. So I will be coming back to that eventually because I feel like I just want to know why the Guardian's office was saying that it was Militic. You know what I'm saying? I really do. I want to know why. But let's go to... let's do this one first. Okay, let me share the screen for good old Ed, because I don't think I've shown this document on here yet. I think I've only shown, like, a little bit. So, let's see. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, let me pull this over here. So, caption with the story on the process. Gordon Mustaine, Public Relations Director for the Church of Scientology, stands in front of the church's American headquarters in LA. He holds notes taken at a secret meeting of the process, a cult believed to have contracted with hippies for the murder of actress Sharon Tate and 3 jet-set friends. And this is a very crappy quality photo. Scan of Ed's from his archives, but that hairline, undeniable, right? So, right here. Process first add a devil-worshipping cult which contracts with motorcycle gangs to murder people opposed to its goal of fomenting a world revolution has been linked to California's sensational Sharon Tate murder case. The process, a militant right-wing extremist cult born in England in 1962 by a defector from the Church of Scientology, apparently contracted for the slaying of Miss Tate and 3 jet-set friends, one of whom was a former Scientologist. The contract was given to a band of hippies known as the Family after a motorcycle gang refused it. The pact also called for the assassination of 11 more prominent entertainment and civil rights figures, some of who are believed to be members of Scientology. LA police say there is a definite link between a Scientology process holy war, the Tate murders, 4 other LA killings, and possibly another 30 unsolved homicides throughout California. Brutal and repeated stabbings are the common denominator in all of these slayings. Most victims were 14 to 30, and most were killed while members of the family were known to be in the area. Interviews with Los Angeles detectives, Scientology officials, and a young woman who defected from the process reveal striking similarities between the cult and the hippie family. A common thread of satanic worship, sexual perversion, drugs, hypnotism, lust for murder, and belief in world revolution runs through the 2 groups. Detectives first became aware of similarities between the cult and the nomadic hippie band while investigating the stabbings of 2 Scientologists last November 21st in LA. Gordon Mustaine, the church's public relations director, turned over to the police a copy of Process, the cult's official publication, which had been sent to Scientology in November of 1968. Each page of the slick magazine published in London was covered by weirdly shaped cutouts pasted in such a way they could be lifted to read the print underneath. The cutouts included occult and witchcraft figures, signs of the zodiac, silhouettes of tortured and maimed human beings, and other figures associated with devil worship, black magic, and voodoo, he reported. I believe the symbols make up a warning that Process will retaliate against Scientology for setting American immigration authorities on the trail of 14 Process members who entered the country illegally in early 1968. The young woman who left the Process said there was a list of Scientology members to be killed by contracting with motorcycle gangs. There is a definite connection between the Process Scientology feud, the hippie family, the Scientology and Tate murders, declared detectives on the Scientology case, but we cannot get more specific because of the court order banning publicity about the Tate investigation. The existence of an assassination list, however, was confirmed by one of 6 family members indicted for the Tate murders. Susan Denise Atkins, 21-year-old mother of 21-year-old mother of the family. Leader Charles Manson's several illegitimate children told police the group had a list of 11 people to kill. Police are now attempting to determine how many potential victims belong to Scientology, but are hampered by the churches and the pages cut off. Let's see. Policy. Oh, here we go. Against disclosing its membership roster. My bad. Officials close to the Tate investigation say privately that one of the actress's murdered companions, men hairstylist Jay Sebring, joined Scientology in the early 1960s after meeting the church's founder, science fiction writer Ron Hubbard in Europe. Friends of Sebring also say Scientology is the kind of organization Sebring liked to join for new thrills. It is also known that several celebrities in Sebring's circle of entertainers and socialites belong to the church. Friends of 2 other victims of the family's alleged murder spree, wealthy Los Angeles market chain owner Lino LaBianca and his wife Rosemary, say the couple once belonged to Scientology. The LaBiancas were stabbed in their home 24 hours after Miss Tate, 3 friends, and a caretaker were killed about 10 miles away in the hills above LA. Ms. Atkins told the LA County grand jury that Manson, a bearded, long-haired 35-year-old ex-convict, ordered his followers to slay everyone in the Tate and LaBianca homes. The August 9th and 10th multiple murders took place within a few miles of the November 21st stabbings of the 2 young Scientology members, Doreen Gaul, 19, and James Sharp, 15. Manson and 2 of his followers indicted for the Tate LaBianca killings were in jail at the time, but 3 others, now under indictment, were free and may have been in LA along with other members of the hippie clan. Police have issued a murder warrant for one Manson follower in connection with the November 5th shooting of yet another disciple of the ex-convict. Bruce Davis, who bears a striking resemblance to Manson, is suspected in the killings of, and that cuts off definitely. And right here, talking about Christopher Jesus, or Zero. Jesus was found shot through the head in an apartment rented by the family in Venice, an LA suburb. Davis's fingerprints were on the murder weapon, a revolver. Davis stayed in the LA area until early December, when he was seen at the family's Death Valley headquarters 250 miles east of LA. His known trail ends in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the weekend of December 5th and 6th, when he was seen in the company of Kathy Myers, niece of a Fresno, California widow who owns the Death Valley ranch used by the hippies. Davis, Manson, and other members of the family first came in contact with the process in Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco's hippie section, in early 1968, according to Scientologists living in the area. The family migrated south to LA in April of 68, followed a month later by the process. However, in June of 1968, process members scattered from a Hollywood motel where they had been holding a membership drive, disappearing a day before immigration authorities, tipped off by Scientology officials, raided the motel. The process went underground among hippies in Haight-Ashbury, New Orleans French Quarter, and Greenwich Village in New York, Scientology officials told the LA police. They claimed to be Scientologists to avoid detection. Manson also claimed to be a Scientologist. It's because he was. The hippie leader also referred to himself variously as Jesus Christ, the devil, and Satan, recalling the process's triumvirate of deities, Jehovah, Satan, and Lucifer. Process members are divided into 3 subgroups. Followers of Jehovah are charged with preparing for a new world order by setting up communes in remote areas. Do you see Ed's little note right here talking about Big Sur? Hello. Satan's disciples are supposed to bring about world revolution by fomenting a race war, and Lucifer's are to destroy and steal property. A similar division of tasks has been noted within the family, which was busily engaged in building a commune in Death Valley when 24 members were arrested last October 10th and 12th, including Manson and Miss Atkins. Scientology officials also point out that the Straight Satan's motorcycle gang, with which the hippies were involved in stealing Volkswagens and converting them to dune buggies, may have received its name from the process's Satan subgroup. Gang leader Thomas DiCarlo told the LA grand jury he was asked by Manson to join in the Tate murders but refused. He did, however, admit some gang members lived with the hippies at Death Valley as well as at the Spawn Movie Ranch in Chatsworth near LA. It seems possible the family took the contract for the Tate and other killings after the Straight Satans turned it down, said one detective, but there's no hard evidence at the moment. Police feel they are on sounder ground trying to link the process and the family to the murders, and with the assistance of Scientology officials and the young woman who left the process, have begun to reconstruct the history of the cult. The process was founded in London by Robert Moore, executive assistant to Scientology founder Hubbard, after the two had a falling out over Moore's use of drugs and advocacy of, I don't know, what does it say? Moore and a Scot woman, Marianne McLean, set up a cult in opposition to Scientology, financing it with $50,000 Miss McLean received from blackmailing British officials, for whom she had been a procuress. Preaching that a world revolution was on the way and the process's mission was to speed it up, Moore and Miss McLean attracted about 50 followers from the dregs of London society, including drug addicts, arch-conservative paramilitary groups, and motorcycle gangs. The cultists fled England in early 1968 when Scotland Yard wanted to interrogate them about a kidnapping, in which the victim was tortured by electroshock devices. Isn't that fascinating? Moore and Miss McLean, who had married within the process, took the name de Grimston and fled to Mexico, settling in southern Baja California, while 14 followers came to the U.S. with forged passports. Documentation of process activities in this country was first provided by the New Orleans Scientology branch in February of 1969. I would like to know where this documentation is. 11 pages of notes taken at a secret process meeting, were inadvertently left at the Scientology church by Brother Micah Ludovic. That's going to be Robert de Grimston's that's Timothy Wiley. That's Wiley. Micah, that's Wiley. Okay, Micah Ludovic, American leader of the cult. Okay, I guess. The notes included statements about death which bear chilling similarity to statements made by Miss Atkins in describing the family's philosophy about death. Tonight, I own you and you own me, wrote Brother Micah. We can do with each other what we wish. People kill each other to confirm their existence to one another. We belong to him, Manson, not to ourselves, Miss Atkins told her attorney in explaining why she carried out the hippie leader's order to kill Miss Tate and the others. He can do with us as we please. The stabbings and cuttings of our victims were to help release the souls of the dead, to affirm our existence to each other. That does sound pretty similar, doesn't it? The California Attorney General's office is now looking into 30 unsolved killings over the last 2 years in which victims were repeatedly stabbed. Investigators have already noted 2 similarities between the unsolved homicides, those for which Manson's group has been indicted, and the slaying of the 2 Scientologists. Most victims were 14 to 30 years of age, and Manson and or his followers are known to have been in the vicinity of the murder scene in almost every single case. And that is the end of that file. Now, they talk about the deportation stuff, right? Let's go ahead and let's look at Ed's file about deportation. And I can't control this person's handwriting. It is what it is. Sue me. But let's get this file going. That way we can see this for yourselves. Here we go. So, June 1968. Today, I went to apply for immigration. I'm going to read this as is. If this person has terrible grammar, Don't judge me. For immigration permit to U.S. by petition as spouse of a U.S. citizen. The application was granted, but I was told that my previous application was to be refused. This was as an administrator in the Church of Scientology because 12 members, thought it was 14, of the Church of the Process of Scientology, indicating that the two were connected, had been ordered to leave the country by June 1st and instead fled to where? New York. On June 2nd, their files were sent to the New York Deportation Department. They had offered to go to Canada, but as they did not leave of their own volition, they cannot be deported to Canada or Mexico. They can request which country, oh, look at this janky ass file, which country they would like to go to, subject to approval, and if not granted, will be sent to their country of origin. That's it. That's the whole file, right? That's the whole file. So now you've seen that. That's great. Let me find my Scientology articles really quick before we get into the stuff about Rome, because you know I'll forget. I know I'll forget. Let me find it. Where are you? Right here. So, and this will kind of tie into the stuff about what Arnie Lerma said, right? So, you guys just saw that. They're talking about the Scientologists being deported, right? We also know this from the Immigration Services report and the stuff with Sirhan, right? So, let's go ahead and let's take a peek. I don't know that anything came of this. I have not been able to find proof that anything came of this, though I would be very interested. Now, the first time that this comes up is in May of 1975 that I could find. Alien ministers of the Church of Scientology were denied admission to the U.S. for 7 years, apparently on the basis of a government memorandum which said church members used drugs and had been involved in shooting incidents. I'd say it was laughable if it wasn't for the fact that they acted on this pathetic lie for 7 years, said the Reverend Vaughn Young, a church spokesperson. The memo, written in November of 1967, it's interesting timing, right, by Shirley Foley of the Labor Department's Immigration Section, was circulated through at least 3 federal agencies, including the Immigration and Naturalization Service, and was obtained by the church through a Freedom of Information suit. The memo said it was based on an investigation to form an opinion as to whether the church can be considered a bona fide religious organization for the purpose of alien employment certification. There is evidence, the memo said, that LSD and perhaps other drugs are widely used by the members while assembled. It said the group is largely comprised of teenagers and young adults. The memo also said there was evidence members of several families in different parts of the U.S. have been shot but not killed by unknown persons because they have objected to their teenage children becoming members. Okay? And then here we have this from the Sacramento Bee, January 9th, 1981. Damage suit by Scientologists dismissed in a U.S. appeals court. It says that it dismissed a damage suit by the Church of Scientology of California brought against 4 federal employees for allegedly circulating a memorandum accusing it of bizarre activities. The church said the memo falsely reported that Scientology members use LSD and other drugs. The organization administered electroshock to new members in an initiation ceremony, and several people had been shot because they objected to the membership of their teenage children in it. Well, isn't that interesting? Because we just heard in that other thing from Ed about electroshock, drugs, and, well, murder. So let's see. Let's move on. I don't want to sit here and read all this from the judge. The document named IRS employees Charlotte Murphy and June Norris as sources of the information, and said they urgently request that the Department of Labor withhold alien employment certification on any basis for the Church of Scientology. The paper was forwarded to State Department employee John McGill in 1968, who in turn supplied a copy to the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It's very interesting, right? Now, right here. This, we'll come back to it, but again, this is really tying into Arnie Lerma and this whole Scientology breeds serial killers. This is from the Sacramento Bee, October 10th, 1976. Much publicity has also been given to a 1954 directive of Hubbard's that referred to an auditing process called R245, defined as an enormously effective process for exteriorization, but its use is frowned upon by society at this time. It was merely a joking recommendation, say Scientologists, for putting a 45 caliber bullet through one's head. That phrase is like someone saying, "I'm so mad I could just kill him," said Miss Hegwood. It's just said. It's not meant to be anything, and it's never been done. It goes against everything Scientology stands for. That's fake news. We know that that's a lie, right? That's a big old fat lie, and we know it. Because that doesn't go against everything Scientology stands for, because that would be part of fair game, right? Destroy, whatever, erase, take down with, your cans of fury, right? Ugh. So, let me find, I'm just going to show you guys what comes up when you Google it, okay? That way we can move on to this stuff with Rome, because I'm trying to churn and burn. So, when you Google Arnie Lerma and serial killer, it's actually been cited in a few papers, right? But right here, because I couldn't remember where I had seen him say it, but obviously, former Scientologist and critic of the church. But right here, and again, this is cited in quite a few papers, including the Psychopathic Mental and Personality Disorder of Charles Manson, 2006. What cannot be debated is that there was something in Scientology that a serial killer criminal mind found very appealing. Correct. That is correct. Am I saying that all Scientologists are serial killers? No. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, and I use the term serial killer very loosely, okay? I'm not doing the whole mind hunter garbage with it. You guys should know that if you're here, but it's meant to drive you nuts, right? You're meant to lose your mind. Yeah? That's effective, right? So again, in the context of whether you want to call it social engineering, satanic panic, whatever the case may be, it's pretty damn effective, right? I would say that Scientology auditing, whatever you want to call it, has truly shaped culture in that aspect. And I know that some people have strong feelings about satanic panic. I still have assholes out here calling me QAnon, okay? Like, don't care. Don't care at all. Now, let's get into Rome, right? Rome. So, for those of you who have been here for a hot minute, and for those who haven't, I'm a bit of an emotional bird. And when George from CavDef was kind enough to send me the Council of Masters meeting minutes in regards to what happened in Rome with the process, I came on here in the middle of the night, all just weepy, crying my eyes out, right? And there were people that said, oh, she's crazy and she's making connections that don't exist about Robert de Grimston, the process, Sharon Tate, that I was making some bold claims. I'm most certain that some of these people are still here. What say you now? What say you now? Now, first, what we're going to do, because a lot of people don't know who this chick is, and I've only talked about her once. But I did find Timothy Wiley writing about her, right? This is Daniele Luna. This was how I first made this connection. Beautiful. She's stunning. Stunning. The sorceress who's made it from Detroit to La Dolce Vita. This is from June 29th, 1969. She's in Rome filming Satyricon. Okay, not going to sit here and read all of this, but I mean, she's truly iconic, okay? I mean, I'm just like, good God, she's a tall glass of chocolate milk. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so here's a couple posters of Satyricon. Rome, before Christ, after Fellini. There is no end, no beginning. There is only the infinite passion of life. Fellini's Satyricon has done nothing less than create a new world, a kind of subterranean Oz, a world of magic and superstition without faith, and almost totally without conscience. That's an important thing to remember, right? But I mean, look at her. She's a freaking beaut. And there she is again. Very, very, very unique. Very beautiful woman, right? So I had found these photos. And I'm like, well, I don't know that I could really make such a stretch, right? Because we've got what? We got Mia Farrow, we got Roman, we've got Sharon, and there she is, right? And we got them again. She can't see her as well right here. And there they are. Roman's over here in the corner somewhere. I don't know why that cut off. And then here they are again, right? So you could say just by circumstantial argument that they're all hanging out, right? Because that makes sense. Here's some more photos. There she is. Oh, look, we're doing it. Illuminati approved. I'm sorry. And here she is with Honeypot Skank, Yoko Ono, and John Lennon, right? Okay, that's fine. So let's keep going. I thought that this was interesting for my temple people. I haven't forgotten about you. I haven't ignored it. But, you know, it's all just kind of weird, right? It's all just kind of weird. So, right here, this is from one of Timothy Wiley's books, okay, where he is discussing. And this is where we get into the really fun stuff where he's talking about himself in the third person, right? Rome in the fall of 1968 was abuzz with gossip about the movie Federico Fellini was completing at the I'm going to butcher this, Cinecittà movie studio in the city. People knew it was going to be called Fellini Satyricon, and if they'd read their Petronius, they were anticipating some good old Roman orgiastic fun. Oh, Timothy Wiley, you dirty dog, you. Let's go ahead and just skip through the bullshit, though, right? Excuse my French. So here he is, chatting with Max Born, one of the leads in Fellini's Satyricon, talking about a strikingly tall, beautiful black woman moving gracefully around a party. Let's keep going. Now, Father Aaron, who's Father Aaron? That's Michael Mountain, right? That's Michael Mountain, best friends, right? Okay, so Daniele Luna. Naming some other people. I'm not worried about them right now. However, he's hanging out with Daniele Luna. Now, let's keep going. So, who's this first person? Max Born. This is him. I'm sorry, this kid I think was like 17 or 18 at the time of the filming of this, but they're trying to make him look like a child, and it's really fucking gross. This is not cool at all. I'm not into this whatsoever. I think it's really nasty. But over here, the talented Bournes left young Max Born, actor in Fellini's Satyricon and now a singer-songwriter, center the elder Max Born, quantum physics pioneer, friend of Albert Einstein, of course, and a proud grandfather. Right, Sebastian Bourne, now associate director of the National Theatre in the UK. So, that's all good and well. And right here, this is something else very interesting to note that Timothy Wiley discusses for all the people out here who want to, well, how can you prove it? Nobody's ever been charged with a crime, right? Don't forget, the regular members of the process technically can't know where the alpha and the omega are. And Timothy Wiley states it right here. I recall watching the pair of processians. He's talking about himself and Father Aaron, aka Michael Mountain, rushing along as fast as possible to get to the Omega's apartment in Rome, where Marianne and Robert lived. The dozen or so members of the Omega's inner circle were currently staying there, and it was where they were holding their private meditation together at midnight. I knew this was considered an unusual privilege. Over the past few years, since they'd returned from Stuhl, they'd meditated with Marianne and Robert less than a dozen times. Less than a dozen times. Now, They come back in 66, right? This is Rome in 68, roughly. This is the winter, fall. So they're all there at the same time. So Ed Sanders didn't lie. Maury Terry didn't lie, right? We know that all these people are in the exact same place at the same time. Now, let me find this thing where they talk about. Let me pull up Ed's file really quick. Hold, please. I'm going to show the part about the LSD, and then we're going to look at Ed's file about the meeting minutes, because I would like for people who want to sit here and say that, like, I make bold claims and, how can you charge a crime and you tell me. Are people going to come on and just say, yeah, it's totally involved in one of the biggest murder scandals of American history, right? Something that truly shaped the culture. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, get back to me on that. Let me know when that makes sense. Here we go. Meeting minutes. Bada boom, bada bing. Oh, we haven't looked at this in a really long time. I know that I have not. So, oh man, you guys remember how weepy I was about this? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's not that I don't cry anymore. I just try not to cry on camera. Well, I probably just screwed the pooch on that one. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So, remember we read through all of this, and now we have all of the company documents of RMS and MA Dig Grimstone Limited, right? Da-da-da-da-da. We don't really care about any of this. We want to go to Rome. So let's keep going. Here we go. They're changing it to Dudley's Limited. Remember, we found that. Guys, we've been on such a journey. It's been such a journey. Let's see. That's March 1st, 1969. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. There it is. That was the one. And I'm sorry, but when someone like George from CavDef takes this in as the same, he took it the same way that I took it when I read this, was that they shut this down because of the bad press, right? So, meeting Council of Masters, August 14th, 1969, the week after Sharon Tate was murdered. Here we have Lucius Nestor, Cassandra Leonora, and Albin Abraham. Oh, do you guys remember we talked about them the last time that I was live, right? Yeah, so this is when they decide to close down their chapter in Rome, and that the brethren of that chapter should join the parish chapter, right? Okay, so we have all of that. That's good and well. And again, the IRS confirmed that Robert de Grimston was also there, right? Okay, so knowing that everybody's hanging out with each other, doing whatever. This is again from Timothy Wiley's book. Right here. Oh, there it is. It's so fun. Mine host. I'm sure the worldly reader will have suspected what mine host had not thought of until the very moment that the floor was suddenly swirling mass of geometrical forms beneath his feet. The brownies that kind Daniele had handed around so elegantly were laced with LSD-25. Given that the entheogenic experience is so largely an inner one, I can do no better than to include my ward's description in one of his previous books as to what happened to him that evening. I can't read this dude. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. But he's tripping balls, right? And no, that's not the only time that him and Daniele Luna hang out, but I can't do the like mine host and my ward is tripping balls looking at like patterns on the ground during this meeting, right? So let's go ahead. I'm trying to get through all of this. All right. Some of this is from the help of Dare and Echo Cat. I'm going to take a break for a second, look at the chat, and then we're going to get into it more because some of this gets pretty gross. If you're familiar with Mia Farrow's family, then you already know what's coming. But mine host needs a break for a second, please. can't deal with this. There's so many people in here. Why is there so many people here? Hello. I came for Dana, stayed for the dirt air check. Dirt. Yes, that's thanks, Chi. I appreciate it. Hello. LSD 25, at least it's of age. London, is that the city of London? I don't know, P. Thomas. I know that Timothy Wiley's mother is buried in the city of London. So, I don't know. I have no idea. Mine host. I hate that so much. My ward. Mine host. Talking right. I'm telling you, his books are unreadable. They're unreadable. I don't understand how, like, him writing all that stuff ended up to him being on Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, is that what it's called? Where he's like talking about PCP and acid. Like, imagine tripping balls with that, dude. How was your host? Mine host is tripping balls. Like, no, I'm good. I'm good on all of that. No, thank you. The city of London is very sus. So I'll come back and see, because I know that Timothy Wiley's mom is buried in the city of London. Technically, that's the location. Yeah, I can't stand their pseudo-intellectual language either. I really can't. But while I'm taking a break, if it's true that Sebring was a Scientologist, we know Mama Cass was. There are other celebrities that were Scientologists, the LaBiancas. Do I think that it was a holy war between the process and Scientology? No. I don't know. I want to know what Sharon overheard. Because I endorse that. Because that's what the FBI and INS told Ed. You know? I think that she overheard something about Sirhan that she wasn't supposed to hear. I don't think it had anything to do with the Holy War, and I think the Scientology was fully aware. I think that he was fully aware. Cohen who? Cohen took courses where? Scientology courses? Mine host needs mine margarine for my no. Absinthe and laudanum. Pseudo-intellectualism is a hallmark of con men. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I agree. Oh, well, thanks, Jack Whiteside Persons. Yeah, the LaBianca angle is interesting. I think that there's some other stuff there with Leonard Cohen. My bad, Chi. I think that there's something interesting in regards to like the Mafia angle with the LaBiancas and then the Scientology angle. But depending on who you're listening to, they'll say that there's absolutely no connections or ties between any of these things. Don't you think it's weird that like nobody tracked Lanier Raymer to Westchester County the year of the Son of Sam crimes? I think it's weird. Jenny Lee, I will check because someone that at the time I didn't know was a Processian, but now I do. They had sent me a photo of Tiny, and I will send that to you, and we can like contrast and compare. Because I'm curious if it's the same person. But yeah, I didn't know that that person was a Processian at first, but they are. And hold on, I'm using earbuds and doing dishes, and I'm sober. Chi, you are shot out. You're hilarious. You make me laugh, and your laugh makes me laugh. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of. Okay, let's get into a little bit of Mia Farrow, a couple other celebrities, and then we will be done. Now, obviously, Rosemary's Baby, right? There's going to be some other seemingly disparate parties here. And some of these people, I do not believe whatsoever their bullshit story about how they dodged being there. I believe that they were tipped off. Was it by Scientology, by the process, by Roman? Who knows? Who knows? But Again, thanks to EchoCat, Dare to Defy. I'm not citing everyone specifically, but they have helped me with this. So, this is one of Mia Farrow's brothers, Patrick Farrow. So, he killed himself, right? And then over here, her other brother, sentenced to 25 years in jail for sexually abusing 2 young boys over a period of 8 years. Businessman John Villiers Farrow pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child abuse after he was handed down 39 charges for the molestation of 2 boys who were his neighbors in Maryland in 2002. He pleaded guilty in July so he could get a lighter sentence, but has always asserted his innocence. Okay, well, a lot of good stuff with that family, right? Now, right here, in the late 1960s, Mia Farrow's younger brother, John Charles Villiers Farrow, was briefly wed to Polish socialite Eva Roosevelt, née Fichtner, who later married one of FDR's grandsons. According to Roosevelt, the marriage ended due to the utter lack of compatibility between them. John Charles's pederastic tendencies surfaced in the press in 2012 when he was arrested for molesting 2 boys in Maryland. As of 2013, he is serving a 10-year prison sentence. For her part, Mia has refused on the case involving her brother. Now, what do we have right here? Countess, who almost became Charles Manson's 6th victim, speaks out on how a faulty gas gauge on her Rolls Royce may have saved her life. Ava Roosevelt, 66, says she was invited by Sharon Tate to her Beverly Hills home on August 9, 1969, but couldn't come because of car troubles. Roosevelt, a former model and magazine writer, has been married to a French count, a steel heir, FDR's grandson, and Mia Farrow's brother. Isn't that fascinating? And that is her and a book that I think she wrote that. Yeah, let's see. Yep, The Racing Heart. So there she is. Oh, just in the nick of time. She said it was a sad day after Van Houten was released from prison. She avoided the massacre at the Tate House because her Rolls Royce was low on fuel while driving to the Benedict Canyon house, she told the Post in 2014. The fascinating thing is that she wrote a letter to Governor Moonbeam Brown in regards to this. Yes, that's the same Governor Brown that has been asserted that he is a Processian by the authorities, that, Leslie Van Houten should stay in jail. Now, in regards to Timothy Wiley in his hellscape of a book, right? He was in love with Daniele Luna, and I don't blame him because, girl was a whole snack, visually speaking, right? And also, I just imagine him also being really tall and lanky, and them both just being really goth back then, and it's kind of a mood. However, there's another person that they spend some time with. Just going to show a little bit of a trend. Right? We're just going to look at a bit of a trend here because I didn't know who this guy was. So this is further out in the book. Obviously, the way back is highlighting Daniele, right? Because that's who I'm looking for. But they go to Klaus Kinski's house. Apparently, Klaus wasn't very happy that Timothy Wiley was there, right? But Daniele was friends with Klaus Kinski. Now, who is Klaus Kinski? Right here. Born Klaus Gunther Karl Nakskinski. Oh, I know I butchered that. He was a German actor, equally renowned for his intense performance style and notorious for his volatile personality. He appeared in over 130 film roles in a career that spanned 40 years, from 1948 to 88. He is best known for starring in 5 films directed by Werner Herzog from 1972 to 87, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu the Vampire, Wojciech Fitzcarraldo, and Cobra Verde, who would later chronicle their tumultuous relationship in the documentary My Best Fiend. Kinski's roles spanned multiple genres, languages, and nationalities, including spaghetti westerns, kind of like the Young Turks, right? Horror films, war films, dramas, and Edgar Wallace creamy film. I don't know what that is, creamy films. His infamy was elevated by a number of eccentric creative endeavors, including a one-man show based on the life of Jesus Christ, a biopic of violinist Niccolo Paganini, directed by and starring himself, and over 20 spoken word albums. I bet that's super fun, right? I bet those are super fun to listen to. Really scary looking guy, right? Scary dude. Posthumously, though, he was accused of physically and sexually abusing his daughter Pola. His notoriety and prolific output have developed into a widespread cult following, I bet, and a reputation as a popular icon. And here it just gives a bit of his history. Now he was born in Poland. Lots of folks coming out of Poland here, and I'm not disparaging the Polish. I'm just pointing these things out. And he was conscripted into the Wehrmacht in 1943 at the age of 17, allegedly, supposedly. In this documentary, My Best Fiend, Werner Herzog claimed that Kinski had fabricated much of his 1988 autobiography, including claims of maternal sexual abuse, incest, and childhood poverty. According to Herzog, Kinski was actually raised in a financially stable, upper middle class family. So, was he actually captured by the British Army? Was he actually recaptured by German forces and sentenced to death in a court martial before escaping and hiding in the woods? Who really knows, right? Who really knows? But right here, because I do think that this is important, because a lot of these people are absolutely disgusting. In 2013, more than 20 years after her father's death, Pola Kinski published an autobiography titled Kindermund, or From a Child's Mouth, in which she claimed her father had sexually abused her from the age of 5 to 19. In an interview published by the German tabloid Bild on January 14, 2013, Kinski's younger daughter and Pola's half-sister, Nastasia, said their father would embrace her in a sexual manner when she was 4 or 5 years old, but never had sex with her. Nastasia has expressed support for Pola and said that she was always afraid of their father, whom she described as an unpredictable tyrant. And apparently only his son attended his funeral. So, Father of the Year, right? Father of the Year. We got a lot of charming people hanging out here in these circles. Why do I point this out? Well, because A, I'm not going to be able to identify every single person, right? And these books of Timothy Wiley's are not available to fully download in the Wayback. And it's not like I can sit here and order all of them, right? I can only find what I can find. And Daniele Luna was the first, real connection that I had made to kind of to string all of that together. But let's not forget, because I've talked about this before, so we're not going to read it. Little Miss Roosevelt, whatever the hell her name is, she's not the only one that has just amazing luck about escaping that night, right? That she was invited, and I mean, just thank God that she wasn't there, right? She's not the only one. We have another one. Right here, Jerzy Kosinski, one of Roman's very good friends, because he lost his luggage. And he wrote a novel about this called Blind Date. And again, we're not going to read this, but in the biography about Jerzy Kosinski, please don't forget, because we've already talked about it before, he invited the Process Church of the Final Judgment to come to his class that he was teaching at Yale. And they ended up scaring the crap out of the students that were there, not kids. But what did they tell them? Proselytizing in Kosinski's Yale classroom, they urged the students to accept and embrace evil within themselves. Oh, imagine that. They didn't like that, right? But that tracks with everything. Yeah, I think that all of that tracks. So how many connections does there need to be? How many people got to get tipped off, right? It's a good question. I know that there will probably never be an answer for it. Quite frankly, there will never be an answer for it. Now, I didn't mean to hit that. What I'm going to do, take one more break, look at the chat, and then going to finish out with two more serial killers tied to Scientology. Hold on. Let me clean this up. Talk amongst yourselves for 5 seconds. Let me see. Thank you. Okay. Now, am I going to sit here and we're going to do the whole true crime thing with these? Nope, absolutely not. You're you should be smoking drugs if you think that that's what's about to go down. However, in regards to what the late Arnie Lerma said, I don't disagree, right? I'm not, again, saying that every single Scientologist is a serial killer. And I'm also not saying that they're a sociopath. I don't think that. However, if you're targeting people, because, what did Gordon Mustaine say in one of those memos that, or no, it wasn't Gordon Mustaine, it was Terry Milner from the Guardian's office, right? Where he said that part of the background check was to see if, they could afford the courses, yeah? But we know that that's not true with the process. So the idea of Scientology being a status symbol, I don't disagree. But that's why, moving forward, I'm not differentiating between the two. Because A, there is no difference. They operate under the same umbrella. And this removes that veneer factually. This is just bore out by the facts. I'm not sitting here really making a big stretch. I know that some people will disagree, and that's completely fine. I'm not here to really change anybody's mind. I'm not doing a hearts and minds campaign, right? I'm just giving you guys my reasoning for this because it's how I feel. Now, I'm ready for this to be done. You guys just don't understand some of you do, because some of you guys really do the Scientology angle a lot, but me, I'm just I want to gouge my eyes out. Hello, Ottawa, and hello, Golden Broad Girls. Hello, hello. Oh, it's Corn Freak. Hi, Corn Freak. So nice to see you. And hey, Roxy, what's up? Yes, I went half black. Yeah, once you go black, you never go back. Hey, that's why I couldn't dye it all black, because then I would never be able to have it blonde again without going bald. Gotta love a good pun. All right, let's just finish this up. I'm tired. I'm tired of reading. I'm tired of reading all of this. I'm tired of talking about Scientology. All right, so if you know who this fella is, with his blue eyes and, hair, I guess, because they call him a ladies' man, right? So right here, this is the preppy killer. Talked about him briefly. This is 1988. Robert Chambers, the preppy killer. And again, we're not going to really get into this, but, he's a bad guy. Bad guy, right? Scientology said no to Chambers. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? A branch of a pop psychology group attended by actor John Travolta and other celebs rejected accused murderer Robert Chambers, 21, because of his bad character, the prosecutor said at Chambers' pretrial hearing yesterday. Assistant Manhattan DA Linda Fairstein said the Celebrity Center, a Church of Scientology confidence-building workshop at 65 East 82nd Street, turned Chambers down after he visited the center with his mother in October of 85 and again in May of 86. In August 86, Chambers killed Jennifer Levin, 18, in Central Park. He maintains her death was accidental and came while he was repulsing her sexual advances. The Reverend John Carmichael, president of the church in New York, said that Chambers was rejected for failure to meet church standards of character and behavior. Neither he nor Fairstein would be more specific. Doesn't that sound just like what they said about Manson? Okay, whatever you guys say. Carmichael said he could not determine whether a $3,000 deposit Chambers had paid to attend classes was returned. Holy crap, that's a lot of money to sit there and be gaslit and hold cans. That's crazy. He said the church currently had no money belonging to Chambers. The workshop is called the Celebrity Center, Carmichael said, because actors such as Travolta and Karen Black and musicians such as Chick Corea have participated in its programs. The Church of Scientology was founded by writer L. Ron Hubbard. Its members practice DIE-anetics, a method that Carmichael said helps people regain their happiness, self-respect, and ability to deal with others. Some Some people might disagree with you, sir. Yesterday, Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Howard Bell accepted a request by Jack Littman, Chambers' lawyer, to postpone jury selection until October 20th in Chambers' trial on charges of second-degree murder. All right, let's move on. So, this is October 6, 1987. Oh, he was turned down twice by Scientology. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you at all. Basically the same thing. Said that absolutely didn't. But it says Chambers, a former altar boy, freed on bail with the help of a Catholic archbishop. Oh, now the tea's getting a little bit hotter, right? Getting a little bit hotter, right? I would like to know what diocese allowed that. That's really crazy. Was twice turned away from the Scientology Celebrity Center, Assistant DA Linda Fairstein disclosed during a hearing in the state Supreme Court in Manhattan. Fascinating, right? He attended some of New York's most exclusive prep schools. Claims he accidentally choked the young woman during rough sex play. Well, what schools? I'm very, very curious what schools, yeah? I'll list some of them right here. Browning, York, Choate. I don't know what Choate is. I have no idea. But here he is again. No sex, only death. That's a little bit dark, right? But apparently, yeah, not really the great guy. Not going to sit here and get into it, guys. I really don't have it in me. But, you know, some of this is very vile. I'm good. I can't. Somebody cussing out a victim's parent right after they have taken their life. I'm good. I'm good on all of that. Okay, so that's one. Let's go on to the next one. I had no idea who that guy was. I was literally just looking up Scientology in New York, and I was like, who dis? New phone, who dis, right? Now, maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't. I don't really know. But Kenneth Bianchi also has ties to Scientology. Now, am I saying that Kenneth Bianchi was a Scientologist? No. However, I am saying that it's very weird, especially considering the timing. Considering the timing of everything. Because whether people like it or not, I do endorse a PTK sort of approach. So, right here. There he is. Bianchi charged in 5 LA stranglings. This is May 10th, 1979. Each of the victims named yesterday had previously been linked in some way with Bianchi. He worked at the same real estate title company as Washington, lived in the same Glendale apartment building as Weckler, across the street from Hudspeth. He also briefly lived in the Hollywood apartment building where Martin was lured to her death. That building was less than a block from the Scientology Celebrity Center, where King was last seen alive. So that's 2 connections to Scientology with Bianchi here, right? And that is Evelyn Jane King. So, there we go. Here we go. Right here. The Ethica Journal, Friday, November 25th. Sorry, got mumble mouth. 1977. 11th woman found slain. Jane Evelyn King, 28. Oh, and look who we have. Thomas Noguchi, coroner to the stars. Right? I would say that it's Hollywood's cleanup man, or at least he was. But it says the West LA woman, last seen November 9th by friends as she left the Church of Scientology Celebrity Center in Hollywood. Okay. But remember, he was also living with another woman who was what? It said less than a block away? Less than a block away from the Celebrity Center? So was he scoping it out? I have no idea. I have no clue. I haven't really dug in enough to this whole Kenneth Bianchi angle, quite frankly, because I don't have it in me. And secondly, well, I mean, that's really why, because I don't have it in me. It's a lot. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of misery. And people ask, why am I making this argument about like the process and best friends in Scientology? Because how can you effectively challenge what's going on now if you don't understand that they've been in bed with the LAPD since Manson, right? And they're still actively working to cover up Manson. Don't forget, I've shown those emails with OSA now, like within the past 2 years. Don't forget, Tom O'Neill's research team communicating with the Office of Special Affairs now to cover up Manson. That's why. I would love if all the terms became, interchangeable and everybody got on board with it. I don't expect that to be the case. I don't expect that to be the case one bit. But that is how I am going to operate moving forward, because I don't have it in me to differentiate it anymore. I just don't. Now, I'm going to give you guys one preview for the next thing. I'll look at the chat for a few minutes, and then I'm going to dip out. Now, this was something that I just found by accident. This is just a preview, because this is going to tie stuff in with because first, hold on. Eventually, just so you guys know, because it's coming, because people have asked. And I mean, I haven't necessarily been avoiding it, but it's going to take a lot to put it all together. This is going to be an interesting segue into the thing that people don't want to talk about, which is, yes, Sharon Tate was forced by Roman to do certain things on camera. However, there were many things that she was involved in that Roman did not force her to do. That whole clique was involved in a lot of nasty stuff. And we will be talking about it, because I have very strong feelings about all of that. Because, all those rumors of the Polanskis, people at the Polanski house snatching up kids off of the street, we got to talk about it. We got to bring it full circle. But that brings in, the snuff angle, the porn angle. Is Scientology profiting from that? Because there's a lot of people that do seem to think that besides human trafficking, labor trafficking, there are a lot of people that think that Scientology is involved in some darker human trafficking, right? Right. If we can tie that in all the way back here, then you can understand how deep the corruption goes, right? And I'm not saying that we'll necessarily be able to prove anything, but I'm not gonna, not talk about it just because they're dead or because of the way that they died. I wasn't aware of it when I first, looked into this. However, once I became aware, I said, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. And it's been a long time. So I think it's appropriate to pull it full circle, because I'm not saying that they deserved what happened to them. I don't endorse that. And especially Baby Tate, no, that was wrong. However, these people were all pieces of shit at the end of the day for what they were doing. But that doesn't excuse enacting your own justice for that. But let's go ahead and look at my random fun discovery that ended up just taking me down, thanks to Dare to Defy, a Mafia porn hellscape. So, in regards to the attempted assassination of Joseph Colombo, right here, the strange shooting of a gang leader. And again, we're not getting into this today. This is just a little preview, okay? Joseph Colombo Sr., reputed Brooklyn gang leader, was shot Monday at an Italian-American rally he helped organize. Blah, blah, blah. So, right here, Colombo's attacker, Jerome A. Johnson, 25, a Negro from New Brunswick, New Jersey, was an astrology buff with homosexual tendencies, whose extensive police record spanned from rape to soliciting fuller brushes without a license, authorities reported. says that Johnson, who arrived in LA in 64 as a door-to-door salesman, was shot to death in the melee after Colombo was shot. Johnson told probation authorities 2 years ago that he dreamed of becoming an instructor at the College of Scientology or establishing trade unions for black people. 2 years after arriving in LA, the first of several arrests were recorded. Police described arrests for soliciting sales without a license, marijuana, possession, rape, burglary, and trespassing. Probation officials said Johnson had a myriad personality, ranging from a mood in which he attacked a cellmate with a razor to an innocent cordiality and compliant attitude. An LA probation officer said Johnson admitted having homosexual tendencies, and in his Greenwich Village apartment in New York, police came upon a scrapbook loaded with Adolf Hitler memorabilia. Isn't that fascinating? You know what that sounds like? It sounds like the process to me. It sounds like the process to me, right? So, we'll be coming back to this at another time. That's just a little bit of a preview. Found that by accident. And no, that's definitely, most of that is wildly inaccurate as far as, tendencies, things of that sort. I'm not disparaging him for what he does in his private time. But this ties into the porn angle, the pedophile, pederast angle, the snuff angle. It all just comes in a big circle, right? And it's all a real hellscape. It's all a real hellscape. But I think I checked everything off of my list. And I have no idea if any of this was informative for people. But hopefully it gives people some things to think about. For the fans of, John Atack or Chris Shelton, I would ask why nobody followed Lanier Raymer to New York, to the year that the Son of Sam crime started, unless, right? Because, there's a certain individual out here who just every single day is commenting on my Twitter. Every day commenting on my Twitter about how stupid I am and what a conspiracy theorist I am. But I'm not going to invoke his name. If you're on Twitter, then you know who he is. Hello, Kirby's mom. It's not about their proclivities, just cause for blackmail, which is important to connect. Why? Absolutely. Jay Mortis, I agree. I think that, the story is that they hired him. It was Gallo that hired him to assassinate Colombo. I think that whole thing was like Scientology, the process, but major COINTELPRO. Major COINTELPRO vibes. It just seems to be a perfect fit. And again, like the process is in Greenwich Village. He's there. He's got Hitler memorabilia, as a black man, especially at that time, unless it was planted, unless we're looking at something like the Son of Sam, right? Where stuff is planted, in my humble opinion. Just my humble opinion that things were planted. I have no idea. Let me see. Chris Shelton is too normie. I mean, I have very strong feelings about that guy, as well as John Atack, but I'm not going to sit here and rehash old issues because I think I spent enough time doing that at the beginning of the creation of the channel. And, when I pointed out that it's like super weird that somebody on the board of a nonprofit isn't disclosing their direct ties to now deceased CIA-funded doctors who were on the False Memory Syndrome Foundation board's scientific advisory board. False Memory Syndrome Foundation. I haven't said that out loud in a long time. The FMSF Scientific Advisory Board just seems kind of weird to me, right? But literally nobody cared. Nobody cared. And I'm not trying to, bring up things at a delicate time after, the passing of Mike Rinder. I'm not trying to, add fuel to the fire. But, well, of course there were black Nazis. I know that. There were also black Processians. I'm just saying it's kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. That's all I'm saying. I meant Shelton thinks nothing is a conspiracy. Well, I mean, There are some people that, yeah, they think that absolutely nothing is a conspiracy theory, and then they think that everything is a conspiracy theory. I think that everything should be looked at critically. That's just how I feel. Right? Because, like, I could come on here screaming about how the Hawktua girl, the spit on that thing, that, like, I've tied her to best friends. Right? I could come on here and be like, oh, it's all social engineering and everything is fake and gay. Blah. But I'm not. It is what it is. Just look at everything critically, right? Although everything is fake and gay, including the Hawktua girl. But we'll talk about that at another time. I think I'm going to dip out for now because this feels really long. And I cannot tell if it's going to be well received. I feel like my brain is fried. This snowstorm has got me feeling a little bit crazy. I don't like it. And I'm sorry for the people in California. That really sucks. But I also know that people get really weird about the whole, like, keep your prayers and, whatever to yourself. Ugh. So I'm not going to sit there and say that because that's not well received either. It's not a bad thing if someone's praying for you. I'm just saying. But, I also, people are going to say that that's fake and gay. Nobody can have good intentions anymore, right? Nobody. Whatever. So, everyone, stay safe. Stay out of the fires. If you're on my side of the world, stay out of the snow. I could make a really weird shining joke, but I also feel like that's not appropriate given the topic today. I will talk to you guys very soon, and stay safe.